This week, I'm going to open up a little bit differently than we usually do because I want to explain how our software works and what the next step is that if you want to continue studying with us is. Tomorrow, Sunday, is October, at the last week in the last Sunday or Wednesday in October. And next Wednesday is the first Sunday or Wednesday in the next month. Our software works so that there's a new course every month. And if you want to continue studying with us, then it's necessary for you to enroll in each month. So tomorrow when I send out the overview email, there'll be a link, but you can also go on to the website, sadhusangaonline.com, and click the November module and then just join that way. But I also want to explain for those who aren't really that familiar with how our program is scientifically arranged. I want to go over a little bit of that by sharing some screen and talking and sharing what Srila Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami have described as kind of like an essential part of the science of Krishna consciousness. This section here is from the Upadeshamrita, from the Nectar of Instruction by Rupa Goswami, describing the basic development of Krishna consciousness. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Das, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, one can attain the stage of acceptance called Varana Das. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to hearing of Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering. Now, this section here is beautiful. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smaranam. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, one enters into the stage of samadhi, spiritual trance. After Smaranadas, or samadhi, has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. That is called Sampati Das. So we can understand from this description that simply hearing a pastime once in a week is a rather weak influence on the depth of the soul's consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said, recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the 5 items of Leela Smaranam or Krishna Smaranam. So in order to facilitate how we as devotees can take advantage of that, I want to go over some of the different practices that are in our course, inherent in it, so we can understand more clearly why we should commit ourselves on a regular basis to doing a little more than just hearing a pastime once. So first of all, we heard about Shravanam, hearing. So twice a week, we post the texts and purports on Sundays and Wednesdays. So they're there for everyone to read or listen to, according to your preference, or both. Then the next stage is a contemplation. In other words, not just hearing it once, but actually contemplating what you read. And you can read or listen on your own schedule to the audio readings and chant japa, meditating on what you've read. This deepens one's absorption in those topics. Many devotees, we can see because we're receiving their emails, have added into their sadhana on a weekly basis, not only reading, not only listening, not only chanting japa, but also taking the time to really contemplate on a subject matter of the lesson meditation and writing down your thoughts. Simply to write something, that practice means that you have to give it more attention. It's not just a fleeting thought that comes in one side of the head and goes out the other. It's something that actually takes one deeper. So the idea of writing in a forum discussion or reading others, what they've written, and also contemplating it. The idea, obviously, is to bring one's consciousness more and more toward Krishna over the course of time, not just one day, not just 1 week, not just 1 month, but over a week, over a month, over a decade, or over a lifetime, so that we can actually become lovers of Krishna and understand our intimate relationship with him. And then finally, Sadhu Sangha, we have these associations every weekend. So the idea is that we're presenting an opportunity to pay attention and go more deeply into these topics of Krishna. And since we're studying the 10th canto, we'll obviously be going more into his Kumara Lila, his childhood pastimes, and then as he grows, and all the way through, all the way to the Dwarka Lila, hopefully, depending on his will. So this is the opportunity, again, as I stated in the beginning, if you're not here for, if you want to continue from October to November, then you have to sign up for November, and please do that. Now, next, we'll go into the weekly reviews. Srimad Bhagavatam, October 2023, lessons 7 and 8. Samapriya, you want to choose some reader, please? You have to unmute.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I hope everyone is well and happy. If you don't want to read, which we want to hear from everyone, but if it's not possible for you to read a certain for a day or hour or whatever, just write me a little text in the chat. You see the chat down below and on that menu down below. So then I won't call on you until further notice. Okay, thank you. Let's continue with these additional notes for chapter 1, which is a very rare thing. I've never seen so many notes in anything that Srila Prabhupada has written before. So they're very, very important. Tisha, would you like to start for us? Baba Sadhat.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. Additional notes for chapter 1 continued. Bhava Usadat means from the universal remedy. Chanting the holy name and glorifying the Supreme Lord are the universal remedy for all the miseries of materialistic life. The transcendental sound vibrations concerning the Lord's name, fame, form, qualities, and paraphernalia are all non-different from the Lord. Therefore, the very sound vibration of the Lord's glorification and name are pleasing to the ears, and by understanding the absolute nature of the Lord's name, form, and qualities, the devotee becomes joyful. In this world, there are 3 kinds of men: those who are liberated, those trying to be liberated, and those entangled in sense enjoyment. Of these 3, those who are already liberated chant and hear the holy name of the Lord, knowing perfectly that to glorify the Lord is the only way to keep oneself in a transcendental position. Those who are trying to be liberated, the second class, may regard the chanting and hearing of the Lord's holy name as a process of liberation, and they too will feel the transcendental pleasure of this chanting. As for karmis and persons engaged in sense gratification, they also may take pleasure in hearing the pastimes of the Lord. like his fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and his dancing in Vrindavan with the gopis.
So what is the universal remedy? Better bring it back. Patsy, bring it back. What's the universal remedy? Huh? What's the universal remedy?
Chanting and hearing. I don't
Good
know.
girl. And glorifying the Lord. Good.
Glorifying Sri Krishna.
Good for you. Okay. That's all we need to know. All right, shall we go on? That's
Well, how can you
Oh,
call
yeah.
it a universal remedy? Why that term? There's so many things we have to do in life. How can that be a universal remedy for all the problems?
Tisha. Can you say that? Can you answer that, Tisha?
I guess because it's the only one thing you really have to do. Everything else is just secondary.
Okay. Anyone else have something to add to that? Ramananda, you want to add something?
Because it works for everyone, irrespective of who they are. It works at the level of the soul.
Good.
In the
That's-
world, it's at the body level, but it really goes deep into your soul and then
Yes.
purifies.
Good. It's for everyone.
Yeah.
All people, all living entities. This is the Yuga Dharma. This is the universal remedy.
It's
Thank
actually
you.
it's actually inherent within every single jiva. Every living entity has an inherent dormant propensity to love God. Who knows the verse? We've studied it before. Nityasiddha, Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabonai, Shravanada Sudachite, Karya Odoy. That Nityasiddha Krishna Prem, love for God, love for Krishna, is within, it's inherent in the soul of every living entity. Nityasiddha Krishna Prem, Sadhya Kabonai. Sadhya Kabonai means it doesn't come from some outside source. Nobody can give it to you. How can you give a flower, a lotus flower, to a lotus seed? You don't. You put the seed in the right environment, and the flower that is within the seed will naturally sprout and manifest itself. And how does that happen? What's the entire right atmosphere? Shravanada Sudachite. Shravanadi means to hear. Sudachite means from the right source. Then what happens? Karya Udoy. It awakens. So it is a universal remedy, no matter what form of life anyone's in, because it's inherent in the soul. Very good, Premananda. Nice.
Thank you, Patsy. Okay, let's go on with Manvantara. Manvantara ji, would you like to read?
Let's see. The word Uttama Sloka, Gunanuvada, refers to the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord, such as his affection for Mother Yashoda and his friends, the cowherd boys, and his loving attitude toward the gopis. The word Anuvada refers to describing the qualities of the Supreme Lord or his devotees. When these qualities are described, other devotees are interested in hearing them. The more one is interested in hearing about these transcendental qualities, the more one transcendentally enjoys. Although the sound vibration of the transcendental qualities of the Lord is equally beneficial to all, for those who are muktas, liberated, it is especially pleasing. According to this verse, devotees like Narada and other residents of Svetadweep are seen always engaged in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, because by such chanting, they are always externally and internally blissful. The mumuksas, persons desiring to be liberated, do not depend on the pleasure of the senses. Instead, they concentrate fully on becoming liberated by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Karmis like to create something pleasing to their ears and heart, and although they sometimes like to chant or hear the glories of the Lord, they do not do it openly.
Looking for that closet where Richard kept all
Is someone
of
speaking?
his stuff. Was not like that.
Oh, I thought you were trying to get my attention.
No, that's it's unmuted.
Devotees, however, always spontaneously hear, chant about, and remember the activities of the Lord, and by this process, they are fully satisfied. To distinguish persons who are bereft of these transcendental pleasures, Pariksit Maharaj has used the word Brajeta Puman. The word Puman refers to any person, whether man or woman or in between. Because the bodily conception of life, we are subject to lamentation. But one who has no such bodily conceptions can take pleasures in transcendental hearing and chanting. Therefore, first, a person fully absorbed in the bodily concept of life is surely killing himself by not making spiritual progress.
So how is someone killing himself by not making spiritual progress? Actually, that's how he's killing himself. What can you comment on that? How are we committing suicide in this life?
The verse talked about loving Krishna, chanting his holy names, the holy name of Krishna, becoming a bhakta essentially.
That's it. We have to take advantage of the universal remedy in this life, or we are committing suicide because we're not understanding what is the goal of human life, right?
Right.
We're very fortunate to have this opportunity. Okay, let's go on now.
Actually, I want
Oh.
Manvantara. How about some of this here, talking about this part right here? What is
When
this
these
mean?
qualities are described, other devotees are interested in hearing them. The more one is interested in hearing about these transcendental qualities, the more one transcendentally enjoys. Although the sound vibration of the transcendental qualities of the Lord is equally beneficial to all, for those who are muktas, liberated, it is especially pleasing.
Can we speak a little bit about that?
Is describing how when you love Krishna or you're developing love for Krishna, hearing his glories, it's like you can't get enough. You just want to hear more and more. And it also kind of describes how Sesha has 1,000 tongues, Anatta Sesha, and still can't completely describe the glories of the Lord because it's so eternal and it's pleasing at the same time.
Wonderful. And what is that cookbook named? What's the name of that cookbook?
Higher taste.
There you go. So we developed a higher taste. Now we
Right.
don't want to have anything else but that. You know, Prabhupada uses the example. Once you've tasted nectar, who cares for whey?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
So
right.
we have tasted nectar by taking part in the universal remedy. Okay, very good. Anyone else have something to say about this so far or ask? Everyone's good? Okay, let's go on. I don't know where. Bill, are you around? Because anyway, there you are, darling. Would you like to read?
Sure. Sorry, multitasking this morning.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
There you
because
go.
of being because of being covered by Yogamaya, Naham Parakasha, Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavrita, Krishna is sometimes called Maya Manusya, indicating that although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he appears like an ordinary person. A misunderstanding arises because Yogamaya covers the vision of the general public. The Lord's position is actually different from that of an ordinary person. For although he appears to act like an ordinary man, he is always transcendental. Therefore, the Lord may be called Maya Manusya, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead playing like an ordinary human being, although he is the controller of both the material and spiritual energies. The Lord is the Supreme Person, Purushottama, but because we are deluded by Yogamaya, he appears to be an ordinary person. And it occurs to me, though, that that's actually a benefit for us, that he seems like an ordinary person, because in his pastimes he's described as an ordinary person, and we have a way to relate to him.
Well, we have to also be very careful. Before we can think of him as an ordinary person and develop a very intimate relationship with him, we have to first know who we're dealing with, right? We have to know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is nothing ordinary about him. That's a stage of our development in sadhana bhakti, to appreciate this personality of Godhead. And then once we have become free from sex desire and the misconception that I might be God too, he's God after all, he's ordinary, I could be God too, so many misconceptions, then we can start to actually be more intimate. So it sounds like you jumped the gun a little. You're right. As devotees, we want to have a very intimate, friendly relationship, but we gotta. There's a line. You can't step over that line, and we have to be very trained in our own consciousness by the spiritual master what that line is, so that we don't think that like the residents of Vrindavan. How are they so intimate and friendly? But never they cross over the line. They're not thinking of sadhana bhakti and doing this. They're thinking of their love for Krishna, but they also have they pass through that stage. It's inherent in them, their great respect and understanding about who the personality of Godhead is.
Thank you, Mataji.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyone else have something to say about that? There's Shukshma. Hare Krishna Shukshma. Okay, then let us go on with Sham Govinda reading. Is that all right? Thank you, Bill. Sham, why don't you take over here?
The word Vrisha Kapi refers to one who satisfies his devotee in every way and frees his devotee from all material anxieties. Vrisha refers to religious performances like sacrifices. Even without the execution of sacrifices, the Lord can still enjoy the supermost comforts of the heavenly planets. The statement that Purushottama Jagannath would appear in the house of Vasudeva distinguishes the Supreme Personality of Godhead from ordinary persons. The statement that he personally appeared indicates that he did not send his plenary expansion. The word Priyatam indicates that the Lord appeared to please Rukmini and Radharani. Priya means the most beloved.
Should we go on to the next slide, Patti, and have him read that too? Oh, there's a whole different topic going on here. What do you think?
Maybe discuss this for a short time and then go on. He can do another one.
Okay. You have something
this is a unique, we were just reading about how the liberated souls enjoy hearing about the qualities of the Lord. And here the acharyas are explaining this particular quality about the Lord. Vrishakapi means, and Priya. These are two very unique characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Sham, expand on it a bit.
What's coming to me is the last slide was said that he appears as an ordinary person, but we ascertain that he's not an ordinary person. And then this slide is explaining the different, or alluding to different types of relationships and different levels, which was what Mother Samapriya clarified. I think that's all I can add.
Perfect.
That is perfect. He is the most beloved. Krishna is the most beloved. What would that indicate? That Krishna is the most beloved. What would that indicate to you?
That someone is I've forgotten the Sanskrit word, but that someone's on the highest platform in relation.
Well, I mean, your most beloved. Krishna is your most beloved. Make this personal for a second. Krishna is your most beloved. I mean, I see you carrying your little boy. He's very beloved, and it's just so adorable and sweet when I see you carrying your child, giving him to Prabhupada and introducing him to Krishna. He's very beloved. So what is that? If Krishna is the most beloved, what does that mean? Sean? Oh, he's thinking.
That I guess that he can reciprocate with us most fully in those feelings, which are quite, as you pointed out, strong.
Yeah. When the soul is awakened, this is what we were speaking about with Will, when Bill. When the soul is awakened, this relationship that you have with Krishna is the most important, the most beloved. You cannot live without your most beloved. That's the stage that we want. That's the stage we want to come to. That's what it means, the most beloved. All right, so let's go on. Thank you, Sham. Should we let's have Shukshma read for a second while she still has the connection. Shukshma, you want to read? And you can read after again, Sham.
I got a connection.
Good.
Although Baladev is identical with Sankarshan, he is the origin of Sankarshan. Therefore, the word Svarat has been used to indicate that Baladev always exists in his own independence. The word Svarat also indicates that Baladev is beyond the material conception of existence. Maya cannot attract him. But because he is fully independent, he can appear by his spiritual potency wherever, whenever, whatever it says, both, he likes. Maya is fully under the control of Vishnu because the material potency and Yogamaya mingle in the Lord's appearance. They are described as ekanamsa. Sometimes ekanamsa is interpreted to mean without differentiation. Sankarshan and Seshanaga are identical. As stated by Jamuna Devi, O Ram, O great armed master of the world, who have extended yourself throughout the entire universe by one prime plenary expansion, it is not possible to understand you fully. Therefore, ekamsa refers to Seshanaga. In other words, Baladev, merely by his partial expansion, sustains the entire universe.
Oh, God. Add something to that, Shukshma, seasoned devotee.
I got nothing. I don't know. It says it all. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see. It is all.
Yeah.
We are reading about the Sandini potency. The Sandini potency. That's the existential, that's the existence of everything. That's Balaram, Baladev. So he is pretty important in all things.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I know. Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Patsy?
Yeah, one thing we should remember is that these are notes elaborating on verses that were from chapter 1. And this reference to Balaram being the source of Sankarshan, who sustains the entire universe, and the previous verse, which described Krishna as Priya, dear to even Srimati Radharani and Rukmini, are predicates, preludes to who's actually adventing. This is not an expansion of the Supreme Lord. It's not an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. It is the Supreme Lord and his first extension, Balaram. So these words, although they may seem like they're just explaining something, there's a fine-tuned import to them.
Okay. Okay, let's go on. Thank you, Shukshmaji. Premananda, would you like to read?
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The word Karyarthe refers to one who attracted the pregnancy of Devaki and bewildered Mother Yashoda. These pastimes are very confidential. The Supreme Personality of Godhead ordered Yogamaya to bewilder his associates in his pastimes and bewilder demons like Kamsa. As stated previously, Yogamayam Samadhisat. To give service to the Lord, Yogamaya appeared along with Mahamaya. Mahamaya refers to Yaya Samohitam Jagat, one who bewilders the entire material world. From this statement, it is to be understood that Yogamaya, in her partial expansion, becomes Mahamaya and bewilders the conditioned souls. In other words, the entire creation has two divisions, transcendental or spiritual and material. Yogamaya manages the spiritual world, and by her partial expansion as Mahamaya, she manages the material world. Durga is not different from Yogamaya. When one understands Durga properly, he is immediately liberated, for Durga is originally the spiritual potency, Hladini Shakti, by whose mercy one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. The Mahamaya Shakti, however, is a covering of Yogamaya, and she is therefore called the covering potency. By this covering potency, the entire material world is bewildered. Yaya Samohitam Jagat. In conclusion, bewildering the conditioned souls and liberating the devotees are both functions belonging to Yogamaya. Transferring the pregnancy of Devaki and keeping Mother Yashoda in deep sleep were both done by Yogamaya. Mahamaya cannot act upon such devotees, for they are always liberated. But although it is not possible for Mahamaya to control liberated souls or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she did bewilder Kamsa. The action of Yogamaya in presenting herself before Kamsa was the action of Mahamaya, not Yogamaya.
Oh my goodness. Can you explain that further?
Sounds a bit complicated, but in essence looks like both Yogamaya and Mahamaya are same. I would say potency of the Lord is just that their functions are different. Yogamaya works mainly on the spiritual platform, and Mahamaya, even though she seems to punish us, but it's for a good cause. She wants us to realize our suffering and then turn towards Krishna. And when we surrender to Krishna, then Mahamaya then again kind of take the step back, and Yogamaya takes over. I think I can relate this to my relationship with my mom. At times she used to be very strict. At times she used to be very loving, caring. Wants us to be very good people, right? Develop good values, good character. So that's more like a Yogamaya. But when I am very mischievous, she used to chastise me, spank me. So that's the Mahamaya. All for the good of the jivas, all for our good.
Very good.
So
That's a good example.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
have to understand also that Yogamaya and Mahamaya, they're the same person.
Right.
Just we're turning around in a different way, dealing with material energy. She is Mahamaya, dealing with the spiritual energy. And who is the source of Yogamaya?
Srimati Radharani.
Right, Pati?
Yes.
Shakti, right? That's a Shakti.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
She's a Shakti. Yeah. She's a Shakti. Good. Okay. Anyone else have something? Nothing for right now. So let's go on with Chaitanya and then Ian, and then we'll start again. Oh, Arundhati came up. Okay.
Dandava pranams, dear devotees.
There you go.
When Kamsa was about to kill Devaki, Vasudeva wanted to dissuade him by the diplomacy of Sama and Beda. Sama means pacifying. Vasudeva wanted to pacify Kamsa by indicating relations, gain, welfare, identity, and glorification. Reference to these 5 concerns constitutes Sama. And Vasudeva's presentation of fear in 2 situations, in this life and the next, is called Beda. Thus, Vasudeva used both Sama and Beda to pacify Kamsa. Praising Kamsa's qualifications was glorification, and praising him as a descendant of the Bhoja Vamsha appealed to Sambandha, relationship. speaking of your sister, was an appeal to identity. Speaking about killing a woman raises questions about fame and welfare, and arousing fear of the sinful act of killing one's sister during her marriage ceremony is an aspect of Beta. The Bhoja dynasty refers to those who were simply interested in sense gratification and were therefore not very aristocratic. Another meaning of Bhoja is fighting. These were indications of defamation for Kamsa.
What do you think about this?
I'm thinking that Vasudeva is an expert diplomat, and he's pulling out all the stops in order to convince Kamsa to not kill his sister. It's quite an astonishing situation. They're in the chariot together. Kamsa has got his sister by the hair, and he's going to kill her immediately. Vasudeva, who is not as physically strong as Kamsa, has to stop this from happening. So what does he do? He's using every single word jugglery he possibly can to convince Kamsa. And it is indeed very effective what he chooses. Both the use of fear and the use of the carrot and the stick. He's using both to attract Kamsa. And both of them are.
So what does that remind you of in modern day life? This Sama Veda, fear and kind of a little bit complimentary or
pacifying.
This is good cop, bad cop kind of thing, right? Good cop, bad cop. That's the way to make an argument. There's a heaviness and then there's a lightness, so that you can see the logic of the heaviness. It works. This is what Prabhupada is referring to, these two sides to convince someone.
Right.
You can't only convince someone with the whip. There has to be some love. But if there's only love and no philosophy, that Prabhupada said that fanaticism. Without philosophy, and without, what is it? What's that quote about religion? Religion without philosophy is fanaticism. And philosophy without religion is mental speculation. Yeah, good. So there you go. Very good. We can find everything in Prabhupada's books. Okay, let's go on with Ian. Where'd he go? Wait. I think he was here just a minute ago. Yeah, Ian, would you like to read? Oh, maybe there's difficulty. Too bad. Okay, we'll come back to you. Arundhati? Arundhati.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Dandavats to everybody. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Would you like to read?
Sure. Just pop up, that's on the screen.
Yes.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Some of the chief devotees, such as Akrura, stayed with Kamsa to satisfy him. This they did for various purposes. They all expected the Supreme Personality of Godhead to appear as the eighth child as soon as Devaki's other children were killed by Kamsa, and they were eagerly awaiting his appearance. By remaining in Kamsa's association, they could be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead take birth and display his childhood pastimes. And Akrura would later go to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balrama to Mathura. The word Paryupashate is significant because it indicates that some devotees wanted to stay near Kamsa in order to see all these pastimes of the Lord. The 6 children killed by Kamsa had formerly been sons of Marichi, but because of having been cursed by a Brahmana, they were obliged to take birth as grandsons of Hiranyakashipu. Kamsa had taken birth as Kalanemi, and now he was obliged to kill his own sons. This was a mystery. As soon as the sons of Devaki were killed, they would return to their original place. The devotees wanted to see this also. Generally speaking, no one kills his own nephews, but Kamsa was so cruel that he did so without hesitation. Ananta Sankarshana belongs to the second Chaturvyuha, or quadruple expansion. This is the opinion of experienced commentators.
Very good. Now it gets into a very interesting point that we didn't get to yet, so I was going to wait to discuss that.
Yeah, why don't we go over that purport?
Yeah, that's what. Let's go over the purport. Randaji, can you add something to that? Oh,
This one?
yeah. That's the one you read, isn't it? Wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think I better not say anything about this because it's beyond my comprehension.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Patti, you wanna explain this
Well,
one?
one of the nice points that's being brought out in that particular one was that even though they were demigods who had been instructed by the Lord to advent in the Yadu dynasty to assist in Krishna's pastimes, some of them were also present in Kamsa's camp in Mathura as part of the Yadu dynasty, and even became his followers and associates. So that, and the other example that the 6 sons of Devaki that were killed had a previous history and karma, that they were cursed to die, shows that things are not always as they appear. Sometimes we see things right in front of us, and that's all we see. We don't understand their previous connection very well. It's not apparent to us. But liberated souls and those who can see past, present, and future, and who can understand the depths of a person's or of a situation, they can actually understand that. So Sukadeva Goswami's describing in his language how even these people, they're devotees. Sometimes people think that how could a Krura be a devotee and be in Kamsa's camp and come and act as a messenger to take them away from Mathura? But in the Lord's plan, we can easily see how Krura had a part to play as his devotee when he first came to Vrindavan. It's his famous prayers when he saw the footprints of Krishna and Balaram in the dust of Braj when he arrived from Mathura. He immediately got down off his chariot and rolled in the dirt and dust and footprints and started offering all kinds of nice prayers. So this is the prelude, once again, to the advent of Krishna, setting up the circumstances and personalities and situations that's there. So it's understood that even in Mathura, amongst the camp of Kamsa, some of them were demigods. This will be further elaborated by Narada later on in the text.
That, yeah, we see how Narada is also a little bit of an instigator for in his enthusiasm to bring the Lord, to help the Lord engage in his pastime. So this is also an interesting thing. Ian, would you like to read, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Yes, thank you.
So sorry, the computer got stuck a while ago, so I had to log out.
Come on.
Bhagavatam 10, that 10.2.6.
Patti, is that where we are? Well, you're on mute.
I'm trying to find out.
This is the one we had just had.
This is the one that we just read?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, this one I just read.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. So, no one can blame Naradaji for encouraging Kamsa to kill the sons of Devaki. Saint Narada is always a well-wisher for human society, and he wanted the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, to descend to this world as soon as possible, so that the society of demigods would be pleased and see Kamsa and his friends killed by Krishna. Kamsa would also attain salvation from his nefarious activities, and this too would very much please the demigods and their followers. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur remarks in this connection that Narada Muni sometimes did things that were beneficial to the demigods and demons simultaneously. Sri Viraga Acharya, in his commentary, has included the following half verse in this regard: Asurya Sarvaivata Lukapadgava Kavinaha. Asuras are always disturbing elements for human society.
Oh my goodness. What do you think of that?
So, as Narada is always, as I said in the post, that catalysts tend to speed up things, or sometimes he arrives just to explain something, you know, something like, for example, he appears before Dhruva and instruct Dhruva. He appeared before the demigods when they were taking away Dhruva's mother, when Hiranyakashipu went for that austerity. So Narada, is always there to like speed up things because he has the ability to see past, present, and future. So he arrives at some point in time to say, hey, because if one reads it, says, no, why would Narada comes and say, hey, this is what happening, this is, so why would he? But like I said, if one reads, that's why it's important to reading the Srimad Bhagavatam from the early stage so that one gets some knowledge. So when they come to the understand, yes, he has a special role to play.
Right. Because he's always interested in boy, I'm hearing myself echo again.
I explained to you before, it's something in the Ian's connection, so don't worry about it.
Okay. So we see that Narada, even though he's an instigator, he's very he's a big player in Krishna's pastimes. He's always setting things up, and even later we see how he's going to really instigate. Comes to don't wait a minute, get rid of everybody. This will speed up the appearance of the Lord. Okay, thank you, Ian. Thank you so much, and let's go on now with Sham Govinda. Sham, would you like to read?
Yes.
Before we go on, just one point, that section where Narada came to Kamsa and warned him that the demigods were taking birth and there was a big plan to kill all the demons. If you remember, that's toward the end of the chapter. So that completes the notes. Now we'll go on to chapter 2, which is the prayers of the demigods.
This also shows how deep this Bhagavatam is. You can read it once. My husband was talking about this in the beginning of the little class here. You read it, go through it once, brief through it, or you can go through it again by hearing it, and then this would be the third time that you go through it. I read it twice before we have our Zooms. So there's 3 times. So, this is worth concentrating our minds on. So this is an important thing. Thank you. Okay, go on, Sham.
I noticed on the last slide that the text, it seems that the text was slightly highlighted, that Narada Muni comes to be in contact for the benefit of the demigods and the demons. Was that a point? See, it's in different text.
Oh, it's a little bit separated.
Was that for any point?
That's Krishna telling us that, I guess. Did you do that on purpose, Pati? The demigods and the demons simultaneously. Second paragraph.
Oh, no, that's just because it's laid up that way. If you go like this, it changes.
But
Okay.
that was an observation. You have to notice everything. So remember, we were talking about that yesterday. If you have awareness, so you're seeing that is the balanced, neutral mentality, always there for the welfare of human society of Narada. Thank you for pointing that out.
That must have been one of those Yogamaya details.
It was Yogamaya. Thank you, Sham.
I didn't know about Yogamaya.
That was good. Go on. Read the next one.
Chapter 2, Praised by the Demigods for Lord Krishna in the Womb. Srimad Bhagavatam 10 to text 1 to 2. Sukadev Goswami said, under the protection of Magadha
Jarasandha.
Jarasandha. The powerful Kamsa began persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. In this, he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trunavata, Aghasura, Mushtika, Arista, Dvavida, Putana, Keshi, Danaka, Banasura, Narakasura, and many other demoniac kings on the surface of the earth. Purport. The Lord's purpose in maintaining this material world is to give everyone a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. But kings and political leaders unfortunately try to hinder the purpose of the Lord, and therefore the Lord appears either personally or with his plenary portions to set things right. At that time, Jarasandha, who was Kamsa's father-in-law, was extremely powerful, and therefore Kamsa took advantage of his protection and the help of the demons in persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The demons naturally appeared more powerful than the demigods, but ultimately, because of help received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons were defeated and the demigods triumphant.
Okay, that's very significant right there. What do you think?
It's interesting that the demons appear more powerful, but that the demigods appear less powerful is also another feature. But ultimately, they triumph because of the connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
It's interesting.
Could you bring just a slide up, kindly, just so. I also just honed in on this sentence, the Lord's purpose in maintaining this material world. So just the whole purpose of a place for the demigods and the demons to exist is really, it's put forth for the Lord, for the two to, I guess, make choices or correct themselves. I think to set things right.
Right,
Oh.
good. Good. Yeah, both the opportunities are there. You can act like a demon or you can act like a demigod. That's true. We're given that facility. Ian, did you want to say something? Your hand is raised.
Yes, just an observation that throughout the past times, there always a fight between the demons and the demigods. And sometimes demigods are victorious, and sometimes the demons are victorious. So you find, for example, and in one instant, Indra disrespected his spiritual master, so the demigods got weak, and demons got so we see throughout the history of the Bhagavatam, and there's always some fight between the demons and the demigods.
Right.
And the victory or defeat, it's kind of rotated.
Always.
It's nice that you brought that up, Ian. In that pastime, when Indra went to when the demons were attacking and they were so overpowering the demigods, Indra went to his spiritual master and begged forgiveness, and he was asking for some wisdom to defeat the demigods, if I remember it correctly. And he was told that no, now is not the time where the demigods will flourish. Now is the time when the demons will flourish, but your time will come again in the future. So we see that flux back and forth in this material world is constantly going on, where sometimes demigods and heavenly atmosphere is dominant, whereas other times the demoniac, war, pestilence, abuse are prominent.
So also, I think either Tisha or Manvantar brought up the point that Vasudeva appeared to be less strong physically, but he had intelligence. So even a man can control a big, huge elephant because he has intelligence, So even though the demons might appear to be stronger physically, without intelligence, it's on self-destruct, really. Sham?
Yeah, I think that was that point. Thanks for making that point, because Vasudeva is a Kshatriya. Krishna is born in the military Vana. So, yeah, that's a good point. Or why didn't he just meet violence with violence? Because I guess that he fought with his words.
Yeah. Isn't there in the military, there's a whole section of intelligence. There's there's strategy and intelligence, and rather than just going out fighting and throwing everywhere, there's a plan. There's always a plan there's always a plan. The Lord always has a plan, and if we want to get anything done, we have to think about it. There has to be some intelligence behind it. Even we see in the military, as I said, there's intelligence. So even though someone might be physically strong and make a whole lot of noise, if there's not higher intelligence, then what is the use of that noise? The caravan will let the dogs bark. The caravan will pass. That's what Prabhupada said. So not sometimes it's better to let the demons spew their thing and then act intelligently. All right, very good. Tisha, you want to read?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:2, verse 3-5. Persecuted by the demonic kings, the Yadavas left their own kingdom and entered various others like those of the Kurus, Panchalas, Kakayas, Shalvas, Vidarbhas, Nishadas, Videhas, and Koshalas. Some of their relatives, however, began to follow Kamsa's principles and act in his service. After Kamsa, the son of Ugrasen, killed the 6 sons of Devaki, a plenary portion of Krishna entered her womb as her 7th child, arousing her pleasure and her lamentation. That plenary portion is celebrated by great sages as Ananta, who belongs to Krishna's 2nd quadruple expansion.
There's a purport. I think you can just keep reading, Tisha.
Yeah.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Some of the chief devotees, such as Akrura, stayed with Kamsa to satisfy him. This they did for various purposes. They all expected the Supreme Personality of Godhead to appear as the 8th child as soon as Devaki's other children were killed by Kamsa, and they were eagerly awaiting his appearance. By remaining in Kamsa's association, they would be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead take birth and display his childhood pastimes, and Akrura would later go to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. The word Parya Upashate is significant because it indicates that some devotees wanted to stay near Kamsa in order to see all these pastimes of the Lord. The 6
So wait a minute before you go on. You see, this answers a question that we had in a different purport. Why was Akora, he's got a bad name, Akora. The gopis don't even want to hear his name, but why did he act? He was also doing like the dirty work, just like Narada did. He stayed in the association with Kamsa because he wanted to see the appearance of the Lord. That was his service. So anyway, I think that's an important point. Okay, go on reading.
The 6 children killed by Kamsa had formerly been sons of Marichi, but because of having been cursed by a Brahmana, they were obliged to take birth as grandsons of Hiranyakashipu. Kamsa had taken birth as Kalanemi, and now he was obliged to kill his own sons. This was a mystery. As soon as the sons of Devaki were killed, they would return to their original place. The devotees wanted to see this also. Generally speaking, no one kills his own nephews, but Kamsa was so cruel that he did so without hesitation. Ananta Shankarshan belongs to the 2nd Chaturvyuha, or quadruple expansion. This is the opinion of experienced commentators.
Very nice. Wow, this is what do you get from this, Tisha?
That it's complicated.
It requires a lot of thought. It really does. It requires thought. That's why this is not just reading a newspaper article. This is actually something that we are supposed to open ourselves up to.
This is what it
It's,
reminds me of. It reminds me of when I was a kid, there was a lot of crocheting going on in the house, a lot of sewing, a lot of crocheting, and then the yarn and it would just get all tangled up. And it was so complicated just to try and untangle all the pieces and make the yarn straight again. And so this is complicated like that. It's just so many layers of things that you have to try to sort it out.
Yeah, it will sort out. Just keep chanting. Somehow or another, after 50 years, it starts to make sense. No, it's true. Because this is the nature of the soul to hear this. And we might not understand it, or we might understand only, you can't expect to understand everything the first time. You can't. This is not that kind of thing, you know. Give it time. And there are layers of development that you go through. You're going to understand this up until a certain layer. I'm reading stuff in the Bhagavatam. I've read the Bhagavatam so many times, and I'm still reading things as though I never read it before. There are things that because we're not, there's layers of development. We have to develop. So it will come, but you have to give it time. It's just like you can't yank. I remember my daughter when she was little, we planted some seeds and she sat out there looking at the seeds. She was looking every minute to see if the seeds grew. And she's looking and looking. There's a Chinese proverb also, you can't pull. What are you going to do? Pull the seed up and what happens? It'll unroot. You have the big P. I hate to use it, but patience must be there. And it will come. You can't know this, just like Bill was saying before, talking about something that actually, before you get to a certain level, you got to go through the rest of the stuff, or it's not going to make sense. So anyway, that's an important point. I wanted you to talk, and I did all the talking, as usual. I'm sorry. Hare Krishna.
Before we go on, there's a point to be made here that there was suffering. The Yadus, the devotees, the demigods who had taken birth are being persecuted. It described in an earlier verse, you may remember, that they even had to leave their kingdoms. They were born in high positions, but they were persecuted so badly by Kamsa and by the demons that they had to leave their own kingdoms. So the arrangements are being made for the Lord, even before that, when Mother Earth herself, the Devata, the deity of Earth planet, went to Brahma. Even Brahma couldn't take care of the problem. So he went to the ocean of milk. So all these things are leading up to the advent of the Lord. And although it's not explicitly described the intense suffering of the people who were living on Earth at that time, it must have been horrendous. So here's another step that the Lord will take to rectify it.
Before we go on, could you show the picture of Devaki with Balaram in her womb? Look at this picture. It is so, I think it's just very beautiful. And Balaram, he just is real. This is, by the way, probably not what happens to us when we're in the womb, because he looks like he's really comfortable and enjoying being in the womb. This is a whole other discussion that I hope that we get to today. But okay, thank you. All right. Will, I don't see Will here right now. Is he there? Okay.
He just wrote a note he had to leave.
Oh, okay. Mamatar, would you like to read? Oh, there's Bhakti. Mamatar?
Text 6. To protect the Yadus, his personal devotees, from Kamsa's attack, the personality of Godhead, Visvatma, the supreme soul of everyone, ordered Yogamaya as follows. Purport. There are hundreds and thousands of plenary expansions of Vishnu, such as Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudeva. But here, in this material world, the Visvatma, the supersoul of all living entities, is Kashuradakshaya Vishnu. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 61, Isvara Sarva Bhutanam Hirdise Arjuna Tistati. The Supreme Lord is situated in the heart of all living entities, O Arjuna. Krishna is actually Visvatma by his plenary expansion as Vishnu Tattva. Yet because of his affection for his devotees, he acts as Supersoul to give them direction. Sarvasya Chaham Hidi Sanivistu Mata Smitir Janam Apuhanam Cha. The affairs of the Supersoul pertain to Kishoradakshayi Vishnu, but Krishna took compassion on Devaki, his devotee, because he understood her fear of Kamsa's persecution. Properly speaking, everyone should always be alert and fearful of material existence. But although everyone is prone to be affected by the ignorance of material existence, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always alert to the protection of his devotees. Krishna is so kind and affectionate toward his devotees that he helps them by giving them the intelligence by which to exist in this material world without forgetting him even for a moment.
Oh, and how does he do that?
It says in the Kishora Dakshayi Vishnu, I read it and I didn't even, it just passed me. Kishora Dakshayi Vishnu is Kishora Dakshayi Vishnu's business to protect the devotees. but Krishna did it personally himself for Devaki.
Wow.
For Devaki's protection.
Right.
That's interesting. I read the verse and it didn't even stand out.
Yeah. What and how does he Pati, you want to put it back to the text?
Well, he's Paramatma, right? Isn't Kishora
he's
Dakshayi Vishnu Paramatma?
Paramatma.
Yeah.
Good.
So he acts through the heart, but you also have to be in tune to Krishna to really appreciate what's going on, what he's doing.
Right. Why don't you read the last paragraph? Read the last one again, real quick.
Properly speaking, everyone should always be alert and fearful of material existence. But although everyone is prone to be affected by the ignorance of material existence, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always alert to the protection of his devotees. Krishna is so kind and affectionate toward his devotees that he helps them. He helps them, thank you, by giving them the intelligence by which to exist in this material world without forgetting him even for a moment.
That's a really important point.
Sure.
How does that happen? Giving them the intelligence by which to exist in this material world without forgetting him.
Isn't it Bhagavat the book and Bhagavat the guru?
Good, very good. That's good. And sometimes he does that. That's actually the perfect pure answer. We have to hear from the spiritual master, the person Bhagavat, and the book Bhagavat. But also we see in our own lives, sometimes he puts us in difficult situations that we just can't adjust. And then we have to really surrender to him. Have faith in his adjustment. Very good. All right, let's go on. Thank you, Mamantarji. Bhakti, would you like to read next? You just came, my darling.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7-9. The Lord ordered Yogamaya, O my potency, who are worshipful for the material world and whose nature is to bestow good fortune upon all living entities, go to Vraj, where there live many cowherd men and their wives. In that very beautiful land, where many cows reside, Rohini and the wife of Vasudeva is living at the home of Nanda Maharaj. Other wives of Vasudeva are also living there incognito because of fear of Kamsa. Please go there. Within the womb of Devaki is my partial plenary expansion known as Sankarshan or Sesa. without difficulty transferred him into the womb of Rohini. O all auspicious Yogamaya, I shall then appear with my full 6 opulences as the son of Devaki, and you will appear as the daughter of Mother Yashoda, the queen of Maharaj Nanda. Purport. Nanda Gokula, the residence of King Nanda, was itself very beautiful, and when Yogamaya was ordered to go there and encourage the devotees with fearlessness, it became even more beautiful and safe. Because Yogamaya had the ability to create such an atmosphere, the Lord ordered her to go to Nanda Gokula.
You want to continue reading?
What is...
No, that's okay, Priya. Let's discuss.
Okay, we have to discuss this. Okay, what do you think about this verse, Bhakti? This is an important thing.
Yes, very important. Because Yogamaya it's been ordered by the Lord to appear. So she have to inform the devotees to be fearless and give the good news of the appearance of the Lord. Actually, it says Sankarshan, it was Balaram, right?
Yes, it's Balaram, and he is the Lord.
So precipitate Balaram have to be born before Krishna then.
There's a certain order to things that we will get to in the next part of the purport or in the next verse.
And herself, she will take birth in Rohini's womb, you know. It's like...
No, she will take birth in Yasoda's, from Yasoda.
Yasoda, yeah. So.
Right. Yeah, this is getting to, it's coming. There's so many preparations for the Lord to come. Prati, did you want to say something specific about this?
No, just move on.
Okay, we discussed, I think she covered it pretty good. So Krishna will appear. So there's now becoming a setup for the appearance of the Lord. So let's go on. Thank you, Bhakti, my darling. And Shyam Govinda, do you want to read again?
Yes, thank you. Purport. The Shesha incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead supports the entire universe, and the eternal mother of this incarnation is Mother Rohini. Because I am gone into the womb of Devaki, the Lord told Yogamaya, the Shesha incarnation has already gone there and made suitable arrangements so that I may live there. Now he should enter the womb of Rohini, his eternal mother. It is said that from the mind, Marichi appears. In other words, Marichi is an incarnation of the mind. Marichi has 6 sons, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madha, and Matsarya, lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in pure devotional service. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Bhaktiya avainam dasayati. Only bhakti can bring one in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared from the womb of Devaki, and therefore Devaki symbolically represents bhakti, and Kamsa symbolically represents material fear. As explained in previous verses, Yogamaya was requested to attract Sankarshan, Baladev, from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. And this was a very heavy task for her. Yogamaya naturally could not see how it was possible for her to attract Sankarshan. Therefore, Krishna addressed her as Subhi, auspicious, and said, "Be blessed. Take power from me, and you will be able to do it. By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, anyone can do anything."
We were talking before how when you read something and then you go, there's layers and layers. I read this section like I never read it before. It was so, I want to hear what Shyam, what do you have to say?
I would like to hear what you say, Mother Samapriya. I think I would like, my humbly request, seems you have done so much work on this particular verse. I would love to hear it.
Well, I can't pass up that. Thank you. This, first of all, in order, if you think of bhakti is Devaki's womb. This is bhakti. And before one can achieve pure bhakti, what has to happen? What has to happen? You tell me. It was said in the second paragraph. Put it back, Betsy, if you can. See the second paragraph here? Sham, what you see? You read that, please. Just the names, Kam, Krodh, Lobha, and the definition. Hello?
Oh, so start from Kama, Krodha, and read from
just read that.
Read down to material fear.
Just read, start. I'll stop you.
Okay.
Keep going.
Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsaya, lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy.
Okay, so these things are existing in the heart, are they not? These were the things that had to be eliminated to get Devaki's womb ready to receive the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. These impurities. So so they become, and then first, before Krishna comes, Baladev comes. Now, who can tell me who is Balaram? Premananda, can you tell me? Who is Balaram? What is his position? Who is Baladev in the universe? He is the, aside from sustainer,
Supreme Servitor.
Okay.
So you have to be a little more clear in your
Okay, then help me along here. Help me along. Okay.
One has to go. Her point
Right,
is that Devaki, because the impurities of the previous 6 children were symbolically there: lust, anger, greed, envy. And so if someone has these bad qualities and we want bhakti to arise, then what has to happen to that living entity for them to find the path so that they can understand how to do that? Who is required?
Spiritual master.
Yes. Very good. And Balaram.
So Balaram is, yes, called Adi Guru.
Adi Guru, yeah.
He is the Adi Guru. Good. He is the Adi Guru. So when those pure love for Krishna cannot exist in the heart as long as there's Kama, Krodha, Lobha, all of these impurities are there. Pure love for Krishna cannot exist there. And the way we get rid of these is to hear from the spiritual master. And that's Balaram, who takes he goes into Devaki's womb to completely purify everything so that Krishna can come. So that's a really wonderful way to remember Balaram's position as the Supreme Spiritual Master and preparing the soul to receive Krishna and pure love for Krishna. Is that okay? Do you have any, maybe you can make it clearer.
No, that was fine. It was just, I think because you knew it, it was a little difficult to find out what you were looking for.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, everyone. That I think that really excited me, I'm really excited about, because Balaram, who is Balaram? He's Krishna's brother. He's killing all the demons. He's a far out personality, but he is Adi Guru. We cannot get to Krishna without Balaram. So that's very wonderful. So please, we have to adhere to the spiritual master. And Prabhupada is making it so easy by giving all this knowledge. We just have to absorb ourselves in it. Okay.
Now I understand why Yogamaya had to ask for help, because Balarama's spiritual strength, there's just no, in other words, she didn't have the strength on her own to do it. So actually Krishna had to give it to her to do it.
Good. That's beautiful. Thank you. Very good. All right, let's go to the next one. Chaitamayi, you want to read?
Yes.
Okay.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10:2, 10, and 12. By sacrifices of animals, ordinary human beings will worship you gorgeously with various paraphernalia, because you are supreme in fulfilling the material desires of everyone. In different places on the surface of the earth, people will give you different names, such as Durga, Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kumuda, Chandika, Krishna, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sharada, and Ambika. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The names by which Maya Devi is known in different places have been listed by Vallabhacharya as follows. In Varanasi, she's known as Durga. In Avanti, she's known as Bhadrakali. In Orissa, she's known as Vijaya. And in Kula, Hapur, she is known as Vaishnavi or Mahalakshmi. The representatives of Mahalakshmi and Ambika are present in Bombay. In the country known as Kamarupa, she is known as Chandika. In northern India as Sharada, and in Cape Comorin as Kanyaka. Thus, she is distributed according to various names in various places.
Okay. So this is
Wow.
this is the popularity of Durga Devi. What can you tell me about that?
She is she's popular because everybody has so many material desires.
Mhm.
They're not really interested in serving Krishna. They would like to. Well, this is our condition here in the material place. We have very few people have interest in surrendering to Krishna. Instead, we want things. And I remember going to Mayapur, and once you go outside of the grounds of ISKCON, there's so many murtis of Bhadrakali everywhere. People have them in they'll have the tiniest little huts that they live in, but they'll have a huge canopy and a 6-foot murti of Bhadrakali. That is their life and soul. Why? Because they have these material desires. That's number one. So interesting. And thank you for that beautiful photo.
Put it back for a second.
Dhruva Maharaj. It's amazing. It's truly, this is one of the more opulent images of Durga. She's there. Look, even Ganesh is there. Wow.
All those hands to try to fulfill the material desires of all the living
Fulfill the
entities.
desires heart, and all the hands, and each one has a weapon in it too, which shows that whatever you ask for, there's going to be some negative repercussions coming.
Right. That's perfect. Because you might get it, but in the other hand, you get something else because it's temporary. Huh?
Right. And I did have a question about the second forum assignment, which is to elaborate on the expansions of Yogamaya. And I searched around. I could not find anything to list all 16 and also their descriptions. So can I ask you what where I should have looked?
After reading your forum, I looked it up this morning and found it in that article. Excuse me. Ian and Premananda had both, in their search for more about Subhadra, come across B.G. Nrsimha Maharaj's article. And in that article, he used a lot of references. And one of those references was a letter to Madhusudana in 1969. Srila Prabhupada was explaining that Subhadra is Yogamaya. Yogamaya has 16 expansions.
Right.
But that Subhadra is not the same as the sisters. So that was the only place that I've seen it.
Okay.
What those 16 were and how they manifest. I liked what you did with Vallabhacharya. You listed also, as we did in the purport, but the 16 of Yogamaya, I guess by Yogamaya's arrangement, it's covering us.
Okay.
One of those expansions.
Thank you, Dhruva.
Okay. All right. Okay. Ian, can you read the next one? And then Premananda, wind up with that.
Okay, 10.2.13. The son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Shankarshan because of being sent from the womb of the Baki to the womb of Rohini. It will be called Ram because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokul, and he will be known as Balabhadra because of his extensive physical strength. Purport. These are some of the reasons why Balaram is also known as Sankarshan, Balaram, or sometimes Rama. In the Maha Mantra, in the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People sometimes object when Rama is accepted as Balaram, but although devotees of Lord Ram may object, they should know that there is no difference between Balaram and Lord Rama. Here, Srimad Bhagavatam clearly states that Balaram is also known as Rama, that's Rameti. Therefore, it is not artificial for us to speak of Lord Balaram as Lord Rama. Jayadev Goswami also speaks of three Ramas, Parshuram, Raghupati, Rama, and Balaram. All of them are Ramas. Hare Krishna.
Everybody has a different mood, right?
Yeah.
So many ways, so much bhav that we have. Love Krishna in so many ways, so many Rams. You have anything else to add to that before we read the next slide?
Could you just, by this slide, let me check one of the lines there. Okay, so it is mentioned here that some devotees may see the difference between, when they are in the mantra with Hare Rama, but actually there's three Ramas: Balaram, Rama, Lord Ramachandra, and Parshuram. So so all of them are Ramas, yeah. So that's very significant there.
Yeah. All of them are Ram. Hare Ram.
So Rama, Hare Hare. Okay.
If you live in New Ramanreti, then you know who Ram is. Then you see Lord Balaram standing on the altar here, and he captures all hearts. But someone else who's living somewhere else in Bombay, Ram is actually Ram, Lord Ramachandra. So that's it. Okay. Let's have the concluding slide read by Premananda, and then we'll have a little discussion.
Okay, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam 10 to 14 and 15. Thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya immediately agreed. With the Vedic mantra Om, she confirmed that she would do what he asked. Thus, having accepted the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she circumambulated him and started for the place on earth known as Nanda Gokul. There, she did everything just as she had been told. When the child of Devaki was attracted and transferred into the womb of Rohini by Yogamaya, Devaki seemed to have a miscarriage. Thus all the inhabitants of the palace loudly lamented, "Alas, Devaki has lost a child." Purport. After receiving the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya twice confirmed her acceptance by saying, "Yes, sir, I shall do as you order," and then saying Om. When everyone lamented, Kamsa joined in compassion, thinking that perhaps because of drugs or some other external means, Devaki had undergone this abortion. The real story of what happened after Yogamaya attracted the child of Devaki into the womb of Rohini in the 7th month of Rohini's pregnancy is described as follows in the Harivamsa. At midnight, while Rohini was deeply sleeping, she experienced, as if in a dream, that she had undergone a miscarriage. After some time, when she awoke, she saw that this had indeed happened, and she was in great anxiety. But Yogamaya then informed her, "Oh, auspicious lady, your child is now being replaced. I am attracting a child from the womb of Devaki, and therefore your child will be known as Sankarsana." Is there anything more?
No, that's the end of it. I have a question. Is there any definition of the word Shankarshan that you know that might clear this up a little? Why Balaram is known as Shankarshan?
I don't know. I just heard that because he's attracted from the womb of Devaki to Shankar. That's what. That's the only definition I heard of.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pati, you want to say something? And or Premananda, anyone?
Just how bizarre this is becoming, all the intricacies of people switching wombs, and it's obviously Yoga Maya. It's amazing that Vyasadeva and Sukadev Goswami, there are souls who are given the vision and understanding of these intricacies. And that is who we have to approach in order to understand how it's working. Because otherwise it's all speculation. It might be this, it might do that. Let's do an experiment. And it keeps changing. So, but finding someone who actually knows, Gyani Nas Tattva Darshana, means that you find the person who knows these truths, inquire from them, and they can reveal the truth because they've seen it. So I think it's amazing the way that, especially, it was interesting that Premananda also read the previous verse about Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. So how subtle the difference between the two. Sometimes it appears like one, but that's why we have to inquire and be enlightened by those in knowledge, because it's hard to understand what is Mahamaya, that's taking away from Krishna, and what is Krishna's plan, which is Yoga Maya.
It's interesting also, and then Ian wants to say something. It's interesting also that every step of the way in spiritual life, every step in the way, we have to refer to the spiritual master's instructions. We have to read Prabhupada's books. We're in this movement. The Prabhupada wrote these books for all of us. This is the source of our knowledge. And we have to really concentrate on hearing that.
That was nice the way you connected it with Devaki's womb being made suitable so Krishna can come. In the same way, we must become purified in order for Krishna to come into our hearts.
Yeah. And then the ultimate thing is that we have to hear from the spiritual master. Because after those all inebrities are finished, that's only can be finished by hearing from the spiritual master. We can't clean those things up and ready ourselves to receive Krishna without the spiritual master. Ian, did you want to say something?
So quickly, the importance of the syllable Om. As Sri Krishna says, I'm the sacred syllable Om. Om. Okay, so in the past time, Lord Vamanadev, when I think is with Bali Maharaj's spiritual master, was trying to encourage him not to keep his promise of providing whatever Lord Vamanadev asked for. If I'm correct, I think he said you didn't say Om in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
He didn't conclude
Yes.
it. He was looking for a way to get out of it.
Yes, it wasn't said. So that's very significant.
Yeah.
So we have
Nice
Om
reference.
Agyana,
Yeah, a nice
or
reference.
normal Om. Yes. And also, the 7th month is very important, because if I'm remembering correctly, is that in the 7th month, the child, some amount of consciousness returns to the living entity. And you know, it is when a child is born at 7 months, they claim is at premature birth. But I'm trying to remember if they say at the 7th month, some amount of consciousness returns, and then that's where the prayers.
Yeah. Is it 7 months?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I could look at it, but just now I'm trying to remember. I was born 7 months, I heard. So it seems that at 7 months, it is said that it's premature, but a lot of babies are born 7 months, not 6 or 8, but the 7 months. Outside of being born in 9th month.
Is that a premature baby that's born 7 months? And
yeah, I think it's. I think medical people, yeah, the medical person tell the regard, because 9 months they tend to say 9 months is a full term. So if you come that same, they say it's premature.
Can you imagine being in the womb and being conscious for 2 months in that situation? Oh
Yeah,
boy,
yeah.
that actually it's a blessing if we're not conscious in that situation. But that's when the child prays to Krishna, a pious soul prays. I am sorry that I got in here. I will worship you forever.
I
That's
think
very
Tisha, I
auspicious.
think Tisha also has a question.
Tisha. Oh, sorry, Donnie.
I just have a question. So I might be wrong, but it seems like Rohini was pregnant, right? It felt like she had a miscarriage, and then Yogamaya comes to her and says, I'm replacing your child. So how is it that Rohini was pregnant if Vasudev was in shackles? And I just
Conjugal visit.
Okay.
That's that has been the conclusion.
Okay.
That, in his going back and forth and everything, she is his wife, But that's as far as I know. Patti?
I've heard that also. It's unclear how long prior to her move Rohini went to Gokul. Maybe she was in Mathura, and then because of Kamsa's atrocities and knowing that it was coming closer to the 8th child, Vasudev sent her to Mathura. It could be one of those. But I think also, Mathura and Gokul are not very far apart. It's just across the river from one another. So it's not inconceivable that Vasudev had 17 wives. So it's not, and Kamsa was more worried about Devaki than any of them. So it's possible. I don't know. But
yeah,
it's unclear. Good question.
I would conclude. Chaita?
Haribol, this is going back to verse 13. Speaking of the different names, personalities associated with the name Rama, I was thinking of this lecture that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave on Radhastami, and he described that it is Srimati Radhika who is also Rama, because she's a Ladini Shakti.
Isn't there a long A at the end of that? Her name, Rama?
Rama,
rather than Rama.
That's true.
It's Rama.
That's true.
Yeah, but you're right. That's another
Bhakti
Ram.
Siddhanta is using it as an example. We'll take it.
Okay.
Rama.
Thank you, everyone, for your association, going deeper into these topics.
Yes.
I hope you'll all remember to continue to enroll for November.
Yes. Oh, I think there are people here who didn't hear that beginning part of the of your explanation.
If you want to continue studying with us, then please remember you have to go into the November module and enroll, because
it's just the way it works.
Wednesday is the first date in November, and the software changes over to a November module. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You're lucky.
Have a good week, everybody.
Because it's so hot
Remember,
there.
Kartik?
Here in Canada, we're freaking freezing. I'm so envious.
Oh no, it's not that hot. Hare Krishna.
Nah.